time now. B Team High Beam this morning at 8:30. And in the studio, I have Alex McCarthy, the director of the Emergency Management Agency of Tuscarawas County, and his assistant, Noah Porter. Guys, glad to have you here.
Hey, thanks so much for having us
Thank you.
again.
All right. Alex, as always, when you come in, we kind of got to get a little bit of talk a little bit about what actually is the Emergency Management Agency, and then we'll talk a little bit. We'll kind of dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, so, anytime there's a disaster, whether it be a house fire or even a larger scale tornado, flood, typically speaking, your local emergency responders, your fire, your police, and your road crews are going to be in charge for making repairs, putting out the threat, and keeping people safe. Our job as emergency managers is to kind of help coordinate among everybody, make sure that people are communicating among each other, making sure that we can provide any resources that on-scene emergency responders might need. And in a large-scale disaster, we might be responsible for working to make sure that local towns and cities are working together and allowing them to integrate seamlessly with FEMA and some of the other state partners who might be involved during disasters.
So you don't send a team, you don't have a team that runs out and supervises them and things like that unless you're requested or whatever?
Nah, we don't have any team that our agency manages for that at this point. But, there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of volunteer groups across the area, the state, and the country. And if any of those kinds of teams are needed, we would be the agency that can help local emergency responders get those teams on scene to assist.
Now, tell me a little bit about, you've been here a couple years now?
Yeah, just shy of 5 years.
5 years, wow. Time flies when you're having fun, huh? Tell me a little bit about what kind of emergencies we've had here in Tuscarawas County, to get a little insight as to, what's happened here in the county over the last 5 years.
Yeah, so obviously 2 of those 5 years have been basically one big emergency, which was the pandemic. But aside from that, we tend to get a lot of hazmat responses, ranging from just a truck spilling diesel on the highway up to sometimes chemicals being released from vehicles or facilities. We also see a fair amount of weather-related incidents. We're already starting to keep an eye out for what could be a little bit of a snowstorm Friday night into Saturday. We've already gotten hit by quite a few of those this year, it feels like. We get a fair amount of floods here in Tuscarawas County, and also the occasional summer windstorm or tornado.
I know you're trying to transition into the weather because you are the weather guy. But here about a year ago, there was I believe a gas leak at an industry here along I-77, and they ended up shutting down the interstates up north and down south and things like that. Were you called on that one, or was that all handled locally?
Yeah, so the way our county works is that we do have a county hazmat team. It is primarily firefighters from Dover, New Philly. We have a few from Uricksville, Mineral City, and a couple other outlying fire departments. And anytime that there's a hazardous material spill in the county, your fire department's going to be the lead agency for that. But if they would like to have that hazmat support, they can make a request to the 911 center to bring out the hazmat team. Now, Tuscarawas County EMA does administer that hazmat team. Anytime it gets called out on scene, we'll be notified of it. As I said, most spills in this county are just diesel spills. We'll know that the hazmat team got called out, and there's usually not a lot that's necessary, but with some of the facilities around here, if there is a release, sometimes that will involve more resources being needed. So for that particular one, we were made aware of it. We were helping with some public information at the time. I can't remember if there were particular resources that were needed with that, but I know in other hazmat incidents, we might get a request from the hazmat team to bring out things like lime or other materials to help neutralize spills.
Okay. What about the training? Something like this just doesn't happen. I mean, you have training. Tell us a little bit about what training you guys put on.
Absolutely. So we have kind of a two-pronged approach to helping make sure emergency responders have the training that they need. First, we try to host various trainings across the county to support various hazmat tactics. So we pursue state and federal grants. We bring in different things. So next week, we're having a spill response training to teach hazmat guys how to respond to various water-based spills. Also, on an annual basis, we're required by law to host a hazmat-based exercise. So we'll come up with some sort of scenario or situation, and we'll test the hazmat team and other local partners on how they would respond to that. Last year, we did a big train derailment exercise. This year, we're still in the planning stages for what we might do.
I'd love to do that, but as long as there's no actual exercising involved into that event.
Well, yeah, at least for us, we try to keep things easy, but
Okay, well, let's transition over what we've had lately with this rain and the snow. This, we started out a very mild winter, and then all of a sudden we had all that stuff. Tell us a little bit about the weather and what's happened here and your agency and what you look out for.
Well, in terms of weather, I know that tornadoes tend to be the scariest thing people think about, but around here, floods have me a lot more concerned than that. We've had one major flood here in the Denison-Yerkesville area along the Stillwater. We've had water backed up behind the dams for what feels like a month now. And, we are getting into spring. So this time of year, we're going to probably continue to see some of these heavy rain events. When we get into May and June, we also start seeing flash flood events. Now, I make a difference between your heavy rain versus your flash flooding events. When we talk about the heavy rains like we've had, the rain will fall. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of ponding on roadways. Please do not drive out on those. But you don't generally have water rising very fast. We usually have several hours to a day or two of a heads up before the water in the rivers really start to impact structures. Flash flooding, on the other hand, is when you have a significant amount of rainfall in a short period of time. Instead of 2 inches falling over a 12 to 18 hour period like last month, in a flash flood period, you might have 5 inches of rainfall in an hour. Immediately, rivers begin to rise, water goes everywhere, and there's just not a lot of warning, and that can put people's lives in danger. It also can really impact people's properties. So this time of year, we work closely with the National Weather Service to just kind of keep tabs on what we're expecting in terms of heavy rainfall events, and if we need to be aware of that, if we need to share any information on social media, with local media, or with local public officials. So for now, it's just a lot of situational awareness and hoping it doesn't happen.
To wrap this all up, also, there's a lot of weather forecast people in the state, and a lot of false forecasts or hoping forecasts and things like that, and it gets everybody worked up. You have direct contact with the National Weather Service when these events are occurring, and you get updates, correct?
Yes, and what's nice about the relationship between emergency management and the National Weather Services, we're one of their key stakeholders. So anytime that there is hazardous weather that we're expecting, and I mentioned earlier, we're looking at Friday evening as seeing a snowfall event. We've already gotten several emails with briefings from the Weather Service. They're giving us kind of their thoughts, how things might evolve, and anytime we expect things to escalate beyond that, we have their direct phone line. We also have online platforms to provide for quick communication back and forth. So they have been a great partner to us here locally.
All right, great. Noah, do you have anything to add to what Alex said? I want to give you at least a chance.
No, I'm good.
All right, thanks. Alex McCarthy and Noah Porter from the Emergency Management Agency of Tuscarawas County. Thanks for coming in, guys. We appreciate you giving us an update and give us an idea of what you do.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.